and this is not street shit, so you have a wrong. You gotta do your homework first before you come, okay? You have a wrong organization.
Okay, that is nuts. You're nuts. You get stopped. Shame on you guys.
So I know for many people, fiscal concerns clearly matter, but many would argue that they weren't what contributed to the downfall of Jason Kenney's leadership. I just wanted to ask straight up, if elected, would you immediately stay all investigations, prosecutions, punishments against people under lockdown orders?
Well, look, we have a justice system, and we need to respect that as elected officials. I would certainly defer to the justice system. It's critical that we uphold and respect that process.
Adam Soos here for Rebel News, and I am on location here at the Wesley in downtown Calgary for our latest UCPleadership.com coverage. UCP leadership hopeful Travis Toews is in town, and he's going to be giving a bit of a presentation tonight. We're also hopefully going to be asking him some tough questions.
It takes hard work and a commitment to sound fiscal principles. And over the last few years, we identified 3 fiscal anchors that ultimately informed our fiscal decisions and I believe contributed to the balanced budget and surplus that in fact was revealed today. Those fiscal anchors were number 1, we ensured, committed to keeping a strong balance sheet, keeping our net debt to GDP ratio below 30%. I'm very pleased today to announce that at the end of fiscal year March 31st, 2022, our net debt to GDP ratio is in fact 16.2%. So certainly we've maintained a very strong balance sheet in the province of Alberta. Secondly, and I think perhaps our most important fiscal anchor, was to align our spending, and that's on a per capita basis, with that of comparable provinces. For some of you, you'll remember the McKinnon panel report demonstrated that Alberta was an outlier in terms of its spending. We spent $10 billion more than comparator provinces, and that simply was not sustainable. It wasn't sustainable for Albertans today, and certainly not sustainable for Albertans in the future. And so I'm very pleased to say that in the current budget year, the year that we're in now, we're expecting that our per capita spend, our spending will come in line with other provinces. And that's critically important as we put this province on a very sustainable fiscal trajectory.
So I know for many people, fiscal concerns clearly matter, but many would argue that they weren't what contributed to the downfall of Jason Kenney's leadership. I just wanted to ask straight up, if elected, would you immediately stay all investigations, prosecutions, punishments against people under lockdown orders?
Well, look, we have a justice system, and we need to respect that as elected officials. I would certainly defer to the justice system. It's critical that we uphold and respect that process. That would be my response.
So you don't have any concern as far as the government's response, mass arrests of pastors, the small businesses being unfairly targeted? Do you have no concern over some of the management by the UCP and the government recently that extended far beyond just law enforcement, but the measures we saw implemented?
Look, I absolutely appreciate that it's been a very tough couple of years, and the government's response through the pandemic was far from perfect. Absolutely appreciate that. What I will commit to is a full, independent, third-party review of the government's response during the last 2 years of this pandemic. Albertans need to know where the government erred, where it got things right, and we need to know ultimately what happened, what worked, what didn't, to inform future governments.
And one more, if you don't mind. For folks right now facing ongoing persecution, maybe potentially even behind bars, we saw Tamara Lich again arrested. What in the sort of short term can be done to help those people?
Look, we need to absolutely defend the right for Albertans to legally and to protest in a law-abiding way. That's a fundamental right and privilege in a democracy. That must be defended. Now, again, in terms of actions right now that are before the courts, it would be irresponsible for politicians to intervene. But in terms of defending the right to peacefully and protest in a law-abiding way, that's critical.
On budget.
Well, former Minister of Finance for Alberta, Travis Toews, who is now running for the leadership, did answer a couple questions, very likely not responses that people who are extremely concerned about the overbearing COVID-19 responses will be happy with, but he did speak at length about the need for fiscal responsibility in this province. We're hoping to speak to him and indeed many other leadership hopefuls moving forward, giving them a platform to share their perspective and their side of the story so people can make informed decisions. As always, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. The winner of the race for the United Conservative Party will indeed set the course for this province and the tone for this province for years and very possibly decades moving forward. That's why it's so important for you to get informed. Make sure you go to ucpleadership.com for all the latest.